check if we're live. Just checking if we're live. Just gonna leave this playing while I check on my phone. Yeah. Well, we'll check in a minute. Well, no, I need to check first, so I'm checking now. Yeah, listen to this random acid. Just checking. Still checking, I'm still checking. Be with you as soon as the camera is not very Okay, back in the room. Okay. Stop saying okay, Ryan. Okay, we're definitely live. Right then. Stop that. Right. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to try and I've done this before in the past. I've been really enjoying running the Ableton Move through nasty guitar amps, but not your usual guitar amps. I'm using this little thing here. This is called a Positive Grid Spark, and it's a practice amp, but it sounds surprisingly good, and I get some surprising nasty noises out of it. So I think what we're going to do is, I think I've realised I'm just making some noise in the room. No, so I think what we're going to do is, So we're going to write some patterns using some Ableton Move stuff, and then we're going to attempt to make that sound nasty out of an amp. I'm not exactly sure of my setup just yet because I'm streaming, but hopefully we can make this work. So let's just go into my normal setup. So yeah, so I've got a live camera here. Move that to the right place. Move over a bit, and then I've just got the screen up on the left-hand side there, so you can see what's happening on the Ableton Move screen because it's so tiny here. I'm doing this through a little shadow art UI called Schwung, which is, if you've got an Ableton Move, you just need to get it because it gives you loads of other functionality, like being able to make that screen big. So that's what we've done. So on the last stream, we made some acid sounds, is what we did. So let's just have a listen to that. So we used Schwung to make some acid sounds. You can go and have a look at the other live stream if you want to watch that. I don't know if anyone will, but now you can't hear that at the moment because I've got the desk muted. So we made this noise. Turn that up a little bit. Yes, we made it. And now that's pretty nasty already, but I kind of want it dirtier. I've also been playing with, I'll play this with a beat actually. You've heard it already, but it's, let's get the beat on. So just unmute that. This is what we had going on. Yep. So we had that going on. So on this track here, we've got that sample that we made last time, and then here just got a sample of a entire drum loop just to save me messing around that. And then over here I was playing with a Reese bass last time, but I found this little screeched bass which is for some reason There we go, screech the bass. Now it's quite quiet, that channel at the moment, so let's try and turn it up. Oh, here we go. I quite like that noise. I've been playing between this and just a Reese classic, so let's just mute our acid sample for now. So I'm just going to mute that, and we'll get the drum beat going, and I'll make sure I'm not playing something already. Yeah, so I was playing around with this. Really like that. So I'm going to record it. So we'll make sure we're on a new clip. Just come back out here. Definitely on a new clip on this blue channel here. So we're going to go into there. We're going to pick how long we want this loop to be. I think 8 bars will be fine. So let's get that up to 8 bars. Brilliant. And I'm going to switch a metronome on. And I should be a drummer, so I should be able to get this in time, but I'm probably not going to. But we'll see what happens. Oh, sounds great, that. Right, here we go. Yeah! Turn the click off. Now my timing is slightly off there, but I quite like it. Let's do one more time. Let's record one more time. So if I want to do that, I'm going to record again. See if I can get it better. Oh, one more time. It's getting worse and worse. Should have stuck with the first one. Right, here we go again. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's just switch the drums off for a second. Quite nasty. Now I think we're going to try a few different patterns. Just going to record a few of those. So we've got this one. So let's have another little play with something else. Yeah, let's have another play. So I'll do a new clip. I'm just going to jam around for a little bit. It's going to mute my mic. Just going to switch the drums back. I'm deliberately not worrying about key or anything at the moment. I just want to make some nasty noises. Not quite. No, okay, I'm getting there. Okay, I'm quite liking that. I'm going to try and make something up. So, no. Okay, something like that. Okay, so again, we'll pick 8 bars. Don't want to get silly with it. And let's just see. Okay. I'm going to try and quantize that maybe. Okay, I quite like that. And then I might, just for argument's sake, it'll make sense in a minute, pick a different sound for this. So I've gone into the top track there. Let's go back, and I'm going to try just using some of, there's a different bass which I found here which I quite liked. So it was a re-space, but it was like a bit weird. Re-space filtered. What was it? Oh, it's Screech. Yeah. Just going to jam around on that for a little bit. It's going to mute the name it up. Not awesome, but okay, so back into it, 8 bars again. Here we go. Okay, we'll just try it. Quite far behind the beat there. Well, try quantizing. Yeah. Okay, so what we've got is that one up there. I'm just going to try, excuse me, I'm just going to try one more with this sound. Yeah. I'm going to try one more with this sound. So I'll go to new clip. Up there. I'm going to go up high. And let's just jam around. No. Okay, so 8 bars again. Okay. Okay, a bit old school that, but I'm going to go with it because I'm just messing, trying to find some noises. No. Start again. And again. No. Rubbish. Start again. No. Oh, I love that noise. Okay, we're going to do something down there. Okay, so we've got our noises now. So up here, I've got two clips. I've got. Let's give it some more beat. And then, yeah. That's ridiculous. Okay, and then I got. Okay, so those are the ones on there, and then here we've got. Unmute this. Okay, cool. Okay, so remember those sounds because we're going to have a little play with them. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually going to put the output of my move into the input here. I've got a little, let me just show you. So I've got a little stereo jack. This is so pony, but so I've got a stereo mini jack there. She's going into a mono instrument jack. Come on, focus. There you are. Mono instrument jack, which I'm plumbing to the inputs. This is where you'd normally plug your guitar into there. So I'm just going to mute the desk for a second because you'll get a nasty noise as I pull that out. So now the output of here is going into the amp. Just make sure it's on. Yep, that's on now. I'm just going to lay it down there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug this into the headphone out. So this will feed the stream so we should be able to hear it. So let's see if that is working. Other thing. So I'm just going to switch over to a different setup now. So other thing is, whoop. So if you noticed... here, so on my phone is going to connect to this via Bluetooth, and what there is loads of virtual amps, so you get loads of virtual distortion pedals, stuff like that in there, so we can control that from here. So I've set it up so you can see my phone output, hopefully. So is that live? Yes, it is. You can see my phone output. So we're going to mute the drums for now, and we're just going to go on that bass sound, and I'm not going to play anything for now. I'm just going to program it. So I'm just going to go a new clip. So you can't hear anything right now because my desk is turned down. So let's turn the desk on. So this is going into, as you can see, I've got a Matt Bellamy preset. Can I get any more volume out of that? Let's just see. Turning the volume up here. So let's try a different preset. So within these, you've got loads of different presets. So we're going to try and find a nice noise. Now, I've got a feeling that this might not be connected. So let me just go back to my camera. That's not my camera at all. That is. Let's just see if I can make sure this is connected. Right, so open the Spark. Let's go to a Metallica sound. Wait there, it's trying to find my Spark. That's why. There it is. I am now connected, so let's go back up to this setup. You'll see it was searching for my Spark. It wasn't connected. So now I should be connected. Right, brilliant. So let's have a look at this. So we're on a I'm going to go to a rhythm. Oh, right. We're just going to play with some sounds now. I'm going to try and find something that sounds nasty enough through this guitar. So just to give you some examples. Yeah. Oh. So I might just play one of those loops that we had. So let's try this one. Try and give it some more beans. Now, anyone who's familiar with a bit of metal from the past will know who James Hetfield is, or Zach Wilde. Anyway, if you're not, don't worry about it. I'm just looking for nasty noises. Now, what you can do is you can go in on these. So let's start with the James Hetfield sound. So James Hetfield, lead singer, guitarist from Metallica. So just going to have a look at his stuff. Sorry, I'm back with you. So let's get into here. If I turn that way, does it go better? Let's see what happens on the output. Nothing. So we're stuck with this vertical view, I'm afraid. So in here, like you'd have, let's just stop that for a second. Like you'd have inside, you know, if you had a guitar pedal set up, and I've seen loads of people using synths with the guitar pedals, but this is my version of it. So you've got what feel very familiar to me. So you've got like a drive pedal, you've got an amplifier, you've got an EQ, you've got delay and reverb if you want it. So I'm just going to have a play with this and see if I can get this noise sounding nice. Switch the drums off because we're just worried about this sound. If I had the drums playing, it'd be coming out through this amp, and it can actually sound mint, but anyway. That's getting there for me. Without EQ. With EQ. I don't actually know how to save the stuff in here, so I'm going to see if there's a little save as new. I'm going to put this, definitely not in pop, in metal, because it is. I mean, it could be dance, but I don't think they have a dance category for guitar noises. And I'm going to save this as, let's call it Other Room, Nasty Bass 1, save. Okay, so let's get this loud again. Let's try with me the pattern, shall we? I kind of feel like it needs some more. You know what I mean by there's the Oh, I wonder what the top end sounds like. Not sure how to reload that. I'm going to try some different noises now. I think I quite like that. Still not. That's much better. It's proper aggressive, that. Okay, let's stop that. Let's try and have a listen to that with the other sound that we did. So I'm going to mute that, and I'm going to unmute. So yeah, I've just unmuted that top channel. So let's just go into it. Oh! I love the way the end of that squelch. Let's listen to the pattern that we did. Now I quite like that. Yeah, that's cool. Can we record a second pattern? I'll put the click on so you can get an idea. I quite like that. So what I'm gonna do is, so now we're gonna try and sample this back into the Move. Now I'm gonna have to disconnect the output to the stream while I do this, because I need to plug it back into the Move. That's why I've got this little cable waiting here. So it's gonna come out of the headphone socket here on the amp. I'm gonna go back into my input on the Move. Yeah, I'm going to attempt to sample it. Now we'll see it, but we probably won't hear it. We definitely won't hear it on the stream. And what I'm also going to do is, come on, I am going to use the quantized sampler that's inside Schwung, which we used on the last stream, to sample it. That way I can just get exactly the 8 bars. I might actually push it to 16 bars so we get 2 runs round. So let's attempt to do that. And we're going to sample it to this track here. This track down the bottom, which we've muted. So I'm going to come into this track. In fact, we don't even need to do it that way. Go back to this track. So, because I've got Schwung running, if I press this and this, we go into a quantized sampler. So let's come to my other setup so you can see what's going on. Yeah, so we've got quantized sampler there. Duration, I'm going to do 16 bars. I'm going to leave pre-roll off. So, and then I need to do the source. So the source is resampling at the moment. Let me just think that through. Yeah, resample is not going to work because it needs to go through this amp. So let me just mute the everything coming through the desk. That's what that nasty noise was, because I've not got the best mixer in the world. And so this is your output to the stream. So I'm going to unplug that. I've dropped that on the floor. I'm going to have to get that in a minute. And I'm going to plug that in. Okay. And so we need to change the source. So we're doing it to the Move input. Now we won't hear it. So the Move output is going into the amp. The amp output is going back into the Move. So hopefully this should sample, and it might be mad loud, but let's give it a go. So it's definitely recorded something, and it is mad loud. Obviously we can't hear it, but I'm confident that's recording. Yeah. That's going in, and then that should stop at the end. Hopefully it's sunk up. So this will be interesting to see what happens. Okay, that's that saved. So now I'm going to unplug the output of the Move, and I'm just going to have to go onto the desk and find that bloody cable. Give me 1 second. Okay. Where did you go? There you are. Found it. Found it, if you could hear me. I found it. Okay. So we've got that back in. Okay, found it. So I'll plug this back in, and I am really hoping that that sample has actually worked. So, output the move. Oh, it's definitely there. Amazing. So let's put that into the proper feed. So that's our original sound. So we're going to go and find that sample that we just did. So let me just come in. I've got to stop saying so this is where we've got our old samples, which I can't hear for some reason. Why can't I hear them? Oh, it's because it's muted. There we go. So we need to find a spare pad. There's a spare pad. So we're going to find the samples. So these should be in user samples, in Schwung, in resampler. Now, where will that be? Let's try resampler. And today's date, which is the 12th, and there it is. Now, what is that going to sound like? Let's have a listen. This could be horrible. Now, I have stupidly left a click on, but I quite like it. Okay, so let's put the drums back on and have a listen to that. So I'm going to unmute the drums, going to mute that track. Okay. Bass. And we'll take the click off. Okay, so we just need to go to new track on there. Mute that. Okay, let's have a listen. That sounds really nasty. Just gonna have a look at the start of the sample. Set the length down. Set the length down really short. And let's check the start of it. So holding down shift. So I'm not right on the start. So I mean, I quite like that as a noise. Okay. And then of course we can tune it. Quite nasty that. I weirdly like the little clip. I'm going to try and move it forward a bit, see if we can find the start of that clip. There it is. That bump. Going right down low now. Ha ha ha! Try and just move the start a bit forward. I think I prefer what I had before, so we're not going to go down. I'm going to take the start back to the start. Take the start back to the start, and then we're going to set the length further around to about 50. Now, of course, we can EQ this. Have we got EQ on this? No, yeah, we have. This might mess up our other sample, but we can play with it. So, on this clip, which is this clip, not that one, this clip, we're just going to go in there and we're just going to play on the one. Okay, so you get the idea is what I'm trying to do. I'm not saying that that is right. Let's just go again. Let's do the whole round trip again, and then maybe we'll go back to that acid sound that we had. Or maybe we'll do the respace. I don't know. So I'm just going to mute my desk a second as I unplug stuff. So I'm going to plug the desk back into the amplifier so we can hear it. Oh, there's the noisy amplifier. And then I'm going to put the output of the move into the amp. Now, obviously, we don't want to play that nasty noise back through a nasty noise. I mean, okay, can't hear a thing. So why is that? Because it's muted. Oh, God, that's horrible. Ah! Okay, we're not going to do that. Okay, we're not going to do that. So we're going to come back into what was our... I'm going to try and distort that more. So let's see what setting we're on here. So we're going to go into our other setup so you can see what I'm doing. I mean, that's quite nice. So I'm just going to mess with this a little bit. Let's give it a bit more beans. In fact, let's turn up this sample. So we're getting more gain into the amp. Okay, I'm going to take the bottom end off. Maybe not all of it. Don't know why I'm always like drawn to those top ends. Oh, that feels like it'd rip your face off that. And we might actually try some delay. I know I can do delay inside the move, but don't really hear it at the moment. Ah, you see that little BPM preset coming out the bottom? So I'm just going to double check what BPM we're at, and maybe I can set it. So we're at 145. Okay, so can I change that to 145? Let's do that. 145. So now our delay should be in time. Take it down a bit. Okay, so we're going to come into our track where we've got that playing. I'm going to move this so we just do. Okay, get rid of all that nastiness. Now this is should just be the bass. It should just be the drums coming through. Let's just make sure this is muted. Yeah. Okay. That's not sounding as nice as it was, so. Okay, so I'm going to record a new clip now of just that. Okay, let's hit stop. Okay, they sound good together. Coming back to that, see what I'm doing. Okay, let's record a little bit. Yeah, we'll have a little count in. Okay, let's wait for that to stop playing. Okay, here we go. Completely messed that up, so let's undo that. Let's remember to set our bars first. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, now I'm going to play the sound for a bit. Going to quantize it. Try a different amp. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. Oh, I can't decide. See, I don't know whether I'm liking that. I'm liking that. So let's go and have a look at these. That's kind of cleaner. Okay, this is good. Right, I'm just going to go and sort out this sequence because it's a bit rubbish at the moment. So, come out of there and let's have a look at what's going on. So, just on the one of the first bar. So that's fine. Second bar. I'm on the one of the second bar. One of the third bar. And then the one. Okay, so I'll do that, do that, do that. And bar 5 we're at the beginning, bar 6 slightly out of time, bar 7 slightly out of time again, bar 8, let's do that, and then that. I think that should sound right. Let's try it. Okay, quite like that. So we're going to try and sample that again. So just for some, start again. So when we sample this, we won't be able to hear it. We're going to use the Schwung quantized record. So for clarity, we're coming out of the Move into the positive grid with this setting. So this is Pantera, but we've modified it. We've modified the EQ. We've added some delay on there. So we're just going to do that. So I'll come back to this other view so you can see what's happening. I now need to plug. So I'm just going to mute the desk because this is going to make a noise. There it goes. I'm going to try and not lose this cable down the back of the desk. Okay, so output cable. I love the fact I'm doing this on mini jacks. What the hell? Right. So that is our input. So, okay, so it's this I need to play back. So I'm going to come here and here again. So we're back into this. For some reason that's not updated on your screen. Let me see if it's... there we go. It's there now. So we've got the Move input. So that's the input. Now for some reason it's getting loads of noise at the moment. So I don't know why that is. Let's just... Why is that getting loads of noise? Let's just unplug this. Okay, it's fine now. It must have just been a bit of feedback going through. So, now, Move input, duration 16 bars. So, we're going to hit play, and that's going to play back our acid synth from last week. Back through this using the preset on here. So, we're coming into our Pantera sound. Anyway, it's just nasty. And what I'm after is some nasty bass. Or some nasty acid squelching, which I promised last time, but we never actually did. And I'm sorry it's cutting off part of that screen. I know why. So let's just make sure you can see all of that properly. There we go. Right then. Here we go. It's going to hit play. You won't hear a thing. And then it's going to do 16 bars. So that's 2 times round. Have I left the metronome on? That's the question. I don't think so, because we weren't listening to the metronome. So hopefully there's no metronome on this one. 12, 13 bars, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so that should be finished. So still got the desk muted. I'm going to hit stop on that. I'm going to take the guitar out of the output. Sorry, the output of the move is going into the guitar amp. You can hear it there. Can you hear that? Oh, that's a nice sound. I should sample that. Anyway, forget that for a second. I'm going to pull out the input into the move so we don't get a nasty feedback loop. And I'm going to plug this back in, switch the desk back on. And there, you hear that nasty sound of the desk. I need to get a better desk. So let's find an empty pad. There's an empty pad. So this is our original sound. Yeah. So we're going to find that sample now. So where do we say it was? It was in user samples. In Schwung. If you haven't checked out Schwung, you really need to check out Schwung. Anyway. So resampler, even though it was on the line in, come down to today's date, and I should have another sample. Now, can I preview it? Wow, something horrible has happened there. I think I know exactly what that is. I think I know exactly what that is. So, we're going to do the whole process again. What has happened there is, on the record settings inside Move, oh no, it's got, okay, let me just plug in this. We shouldn't be monitoring it back, so I'm going to unplug the desk a second, and that should not be monitoring it back. It's not. So if I do that, that should, yeah. Whoa, I was doing the microphone at the moment, that's why. Not resampling. Not USB. Oh, it's because it's not got an input. Idiot. So that should be going into there. And that should be coming out of there. And that's resampling. Line in. That's why you see that on line in. It's monitoring over the headphones, so we'll get a feedback loop. So I need to switch that off. So we're going to try that again. So I'm going to come off record. And so I've still got this, which is what we were playing before. You can't hear it, but it's definitely, if I unplug this into the amp, you should hear it. There it is. Yep. So let's plug this back into the amp. I'm going to go back into this little record, which is cool. Move input, pre-roll. I'm going to take the volume down just a little bit of this sample. So far, no, I'm not. I'm just going to hit record. I'm going to do it. Going to go straight into record. Here we go. And go. Okay, we'll let this run. Okay, 11 bars coming up to the end of this. God, will anyone find this interesting? Who knows? Okay, that's sample saved. So, desk is still muted. So, I'm going to take that out of the output. Yeah, it's still playing. I'm going to take that out of there. And I'm going to put the output the desk back in. So, if I hit this, you should. Yeah, got that. Right, so this is where we found the nasty sample before, which was here. Although I don't hate it. And and that was what we had before. So we're going to go and try and find sample. There's the third sample. So we're still in today's. So if I just go back so you can see where we are. So we're still in resampler. So schwung. So we're still in schwung, resampler, today's date. And I'm going to go for the last sample there. Hopefully this sounds different. Oh, yes! That's what I was after. So let's turn up. Let's turn the volume up. So we started with that. Oh, come on. Okay, so we just need to sort of start the sample out. So there's the start. I'll just turn it down a bit so it doesn't make your ears bleed. Okay, cool. So now we can bring our drums back in. So on this little channel here, I'm just going to program a quick clip. No, it's not that one. On this one, I'm going to program a quick clip here. So, which is just this pad. We're going to do 8 bars. And I'm just going to do it on the 1. So if I hit play now, that should trigger on the start of the 1, which it does. Okay, I'm going to bring the drums. I'm going to find the drums now, which I think are here. Oh, let's just turn it up. Okay, there's a little trip up there in the sample. So I'm just going to go along to the 4th bar, 5th bar, and just put another re-trigger at the start. So. I love that. Okay, just gonna have a little play. We've done this before. Just have a mess around with some of the time stretching effects. So just seeing in the built-in move effects make it sound better to me. Okay, it's gonna mute for a bit. That kind of gives it some groove. Just listen to it on its own. Take the drums out. Love it! So it just gives us a drop on there. Okay, let's see what it's doing. Bring the drums back in. So we're not going to have any effects on. I just love that. Yeah. So just for clarity, we've gone from, let's see if I can make this work. So we've gone from, and then by shifting everything out through this little amp and using the effects that I'm used to via this, oh, wrong one. Sorry. Via this, let's just reconnect. Does this occasionally. There we go, there we go, there we go. Okay. So we're having trouble. Has it switched off? Maybe no, it's not switched off. Okay, not working. But through this, which you know we do have the fail to connect. We haven't got loads of cables to worry about. And then we've resampled it back through using the little Schwung sampler, which is great because it's quantized, and we've gone from that to which I'm going to turn up a bit. Let me just turn this. Yeah. So we've gone from, in fact we've gone from, no, this, we've gone from that to this. Now we can add some extra saturation to that if we want it to go crazy. I mean, there might already be some saturation on it already, there is. So let's see what we've got in here. Got EQ effect in that sample and some reverb, but let's see if we've got any reverb on that sample pad. Okay, cool. So let's bring everything back in. Woo! Let's turn it down a bit. Nice on the turnaround there as well. So I might just actually turn it round by doing something. So on this bar, making it 2 bars out of sync. So I'm going to drop that in. Sorry, I quite like it when it starts on the wrong bit of the bar, so I'm going to drop in here, so it's going to mess up the pattern. You'll hear it change now. Bit weird now. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just try something else. I'm going to just I'm going to do a new pattern. And then I'm going to copy this sample. Going to copy this sample from that pad to that pad. So I've got a duplicate of that on there. And then what I'm going to do is just program that in here. So 8 bars. And I'm just going to do 1 on bar 1. And then I'm going to come to bar 5 and hit a 1. So we'll have exactly the same thing now. Which should be on there. Which it isn't. Let's just double check what that is doing. No, so we should be on this way. Right, that should launch in a minute. That should launch. Yeah, there we go. So now I'm just going to roll the start of the clip and see if I can find a different groove. It'll only come back every 4 bars. So what I might do is just do it every 2 bars so we kind of hear the groove come back round quicker. So I've just done that. Here we go. Okay. In fact, I'm going to do it every bar so we can hear how that loop is working. Then we'll take these out. So putting those in on every bar. Right, here we go. So that re-triggers on every bar now. You can see it goes green, re-trigger, and re-trigger. Yeah. So now we're going to mess with the start of that sample. Oh, that is cool as well. So we can go between those 2 patterns, but let's just glory in that for a second. Oh, that's 8. So let's play between the 2 patterns. So. Next one. Okay, I'm just going to try one more for the sake of it. So I'm going to go new pattern again. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to duplicate this pad onto this one. So this is one that's already moved. I'm going to do an 8-bar sequence. I'm just going to stick a cue on the start of every bar. This is just while we're sorting it out. Okay, so this will be exactly the same as the last pattern, as this pattern. So we're going to play with the start again. Ah, cool. Yeah. Gonna play with him. Love it. Now, last thing I'm going to try is apparently Schwung is meant to have some DJ effects. Not been working that well, but we're going to try it. We're going to try it 1 for 5. Inevitably didn't work. Okay, I think that's going to be it for today. So basically, what we've done is we've used, let's go into, is it that one? No, this one. So, positive grid amplifier. These are cheap as chips, but I love the sound of them. They're dead abrasive. And, you know, normally sticking guitar through them, but I'm just trying to get the nastiest noises I can because I love them. So I'm sticking it through there and resampling it back into the Move. So we've gone from, let's just mute the drums for now. So we've gone from, sampled that back through and ended up with, and all these patterns. Bring the drums back in and play out. And that's it. I'm going to stop.